Yeah.
Easy.
Alrighty, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, genders, specific animals, whoever the fuck you are listening, welcome to
What the fuck?
the Hard Yards podcast. We are proudly sponsored by alltradescover.com.au.
As you can see behind our guest there, All Trades Cover. If you're watching at home, alltradescover.com.au.
Yep.
If you're a tradie, big business, small business, they can service your needs, look after you.
Service your needs.
Oh, yeah. They can look after you and make sure you're covered for any sort of incidents on site. Maybe, I guess. Actually, not going to give specific examples.
Never give specifics.
But, yeah, they're going to cover you if you have some accidents.
Just give them a call or an email because they are online and they will do their best to cover
liability
you.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll be able to cover most of the stuff that you need.
Yeah, sick. Also, this episode is brought to you by Vibe Culture. Delby, you started having it yet?
Yeah, feeling fresh, feeling tropically punched.
We should have given you some.
Yeah.
It's good. It's like having a coffee in the morning. It sort of like wakes you up and it's got a little bit of caffeine.
Yep.
A little bit of caffeine, but mainly it's got the electrolytes, it's got amino acids, it's got a range of vitamins that you need and it's pretty bloody good.
Yep.
Tastes good.
Tastes great.
And I feel very, I'm interested because I'm almost finished my batch and I want to see what I'm like without it.
We should hit up Vibe just for a few more just to give guests.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's bloody good. Actually, I might start drinking it during episodes.
Yeah.
Because it's probably a bit like
you
having
do that,
a
I'll drink the raunchy.
Nice. And then this episode's also brought to you by Kahuna Golf.
Yep.
Kahuna Golf. Here's the hat. I'm not putting it on. Can't be bothered.
Have you been running with hats? Do you want a hat?
I'll take
have you got
we've got a heap of hats, So I've been running with it, actually. It's fine to run with. It's it's bloody good. So, Kahuna Golf, they've got the golf shirts, golf hats, shorts.
Yeah.
They've got the rags. They've got everything that you need. So
if you can't be good, look good.
Yeah.
So that's why I
wear it. Which is Delby's.
That's right. I suck at golf.
And they've got a discount code. So Hard Yarns 15. Type that in and you get a 15% discount. And also the owner's a fucking legend. So get around that. And I'm sure the Vibe Culture is, we need to meet him more in person.
Quick shout out to Raunchy who've been with us from the start. So.
Raunchy, yep. And as you can see behind Delby there, if you're watching at home, we've got our sponsors on the wall.
Yeah.
So how bloody good. But today we were joined by someone who makes me feel like a little bitch.
Daniel Delby.
Actually, I think you make David Goggins feel like a little bitch. Literally one of the hardest individuals I've met in person. So we were joined today by Tim Franklin, who runs the world.
Tim runs the world.
Yeah. What do we talk about today, mate?
Yeah.
Sensational episode.
Yeah. Well, I think we touch on my journey.
Yes.
Where how I've got to be where I am 426 days ago. I started the run.
Yep.
And then what that's entailed psychologically, physically, logistically, and everything. And then we go tangentially to places where I didn't think we'd probably end up.
It's pretty standard for this sort of podcast.
Tim's running around the world, literally, physically. He's running around the world, guys. It's fucking insane. He even gets attacked by dogs and car crashes, all sorts of things as we come along.
Yeah.
Nearly got nabbed by the immigration patrol
in the US. It's a sensational episode, and I think it will make everyone have a little bit of context to when things get tough.
And
just
gratitude.
Think of what you're going through.
Yeah. If you're feeling down, jump on Timmy's Instagram, Timmy R. Franklin, and have a look what he's going through, and your day won't be so hard.
Yeah, definitely not. But sensational episode. Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
That's awesome.
Speaking of hard,
let's get hard.
Let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Brand.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
Fuck yeah. So
who runs the world? Tim. Tim runs the world. Tim.
Fuck, man. I watched a couple of docos last night, so I'm even more in awe of you at the moment. But thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Big achievement, and you're still not finished. So you look at the moment like I anticipated you would. A little
amazing.
bit.
Really good.
Yeah. You look a little like tired.
Yeah.
Obviously flown in last night. So, but yeah, maybe before we get into what you do, or like who you are and where you're at at the moment, maybe run through exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it.
426 days ago, I left my home in Brizzy and am on a journey of running around the world in an attempt to be, I think, the 8th person to complete the mission. And the aim at the start was to be the fastest. Which meant I had to average just over 60 Ks a day in order to do so.
Some people do anything to get away from Brisbane, won't they?
It was more just to get away from life.
Yeah.
That's what people say. What am I running away from?
Yeah.
The problem is I'm running back to it.
Yeah. So only 8 people in the world have.
So I'll be the 8th.
Wow.
So
you're the 8th wonder of the world. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, let's run with that.
8th runder of the world. That's the new marketing campaign.
I was on in an Asian newspaper just yesterday.
Yeah.
And they called me world famous.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. So I'll be the 8th. The journey is 26,232 kilometers as a minimum. You have to run on 4 continents as a minimum. And for a continent to count, you have to run 3,000 kilometers, and you have to run from 1 kilometer on the ocean on one side to 1 kilometer on the ocean on the other side.
Right, so that's running a continent.
That's what they consider.
Is every continent at least 3,000 kilometers wide?
No,
really?
No. So South America. Yeah. Well, I suppose it is if you run
the opposite.
or the furthest points. But sometimes that's impossible. And you try and keep the route flat. And less dangerous.
Delby's very big advocate for the flat.
Fuck me. Yeah, I'll tell you about
South
that
America.
later.
South America. I had to run over the Andes.
Yeah.
But so I left Brisbane on the 3rd of December 2022. And I've been on the go since. So 426 days ago. Wow. I've run the length of New Zealand. I ran from San Francisco to New York City, but like in a U shape across the states. And then ran from Chile to Argentina. So Santiago to Buenos Aires, but again a U shape. I went really south down to Patagonia.
Are you allowed any performance enhancing substances from South America or not?
I'll plead the fifth. And then I ran the Thames Path. So I ran across England, which was awesome. And then I went to Lisbon in Portugal and ran from Portugal all the way to the Black Sea in Romania.
Wow.
And most recently, I flew in here last night and I just spent 10 days running from Malaysia down to Singapore.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it sounds like exotic, right? Like, I've gone to all these places. Are you even taking in the scenery? Or are you like...
That's a great question, actually, because in my mind before I started, I'm like, I can do 50 Ks a day, 60 Ks a day. But, geez, it has hurt me. And my ability to take in and be present and enjoy it has really diminished. Like there's diminishing returns the longer I go. The more I'm like, I just really want to get home. And I find myself like there's been weeks or probably months where I've wasted the opportunity. I think when I finish and reflect back on it, I'll be like, man, that was unbelievable. When I'm in the depths of it, I mean, it's been boiling hot and freezing cold and it hurts. And
every journey while you're, especially in the darkest moments, you don't see it in that light. But when you look at it back in reflection, it's always it's something to look back on fondly.
Absolutely, and that's why you do it again.
Well, will you do that again?
You do certain things again. I think there's a point. I mean, I would. Well, I'll be careful how I word this. I'd love to do it again. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about life. I've learned a lot about the world.
Well, share some, because I like when people say that. But then,
well, the best thing I've learned about the world is people are out there to help. Like the world's a great place. The people are amazing. And I've found that the less they have, the more they want to give. Like South America, Chile, they're the loveliest people. And then Eastern Europe, tough living. Right, Romania, Serbia. Like
all the ears.
All the ears and all the stands. Right, really, really tough existence. It's bitterly cold and it's really hot. But they just go about their day and they just get it done. And they were like out the front of their homes, like clapping me, cheering
That's
me
awesome.
on. They didn't know who I was, that I was
Yeah.
even going to be there. They just happened to be having a beer at a little cafe out the front.
Yeah.
And they would just cheer me on in this village in the middle of nowhere. Like, how can we help?
Because you're world famous.
Well, I don't know what came first. But
So
yeah.
have you got a team running with you, or do these little villages just see a white guy running through their village struggling by himself?
Just a white guy in a
Wow.
high-vis singlet
Wow.
running through. So, but that's what makes it. There's no situation now. This is back to what I've learnt from it.
Yeah.
Is there's no situation that I'm in now that I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Nice.
Like there's that saying that's been done to death, like get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've used that forever as a coach back home.
Yeah.
I love it, right? The more we can get being uncomfortable, then comfort's really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the moment I feel like I can walk into any cultural environment, any room with anyone and just be like, and just adapt.
Yeah.
But for the whole time, I've been the weirdo though. I'm like, I'm a guy in a high vis, shorts on, it's snowing, and I'm just running through. It's a Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. They're just going about their day, and then this bloke just.
And they have no idea,
idea
what you've
who I
been
am.
through, what you're doing, and that is just There's comfort in that though, in your mind. Like you'd be sitting there thinking, well, they don't know, so like fuck them. But they'd literally be looking at you going, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like,
Absolutely. I'm sure that's it.
Have they even got high vis over there yet?
Like
some of the little villages are like, what's this colour?
Your 3 points of contact aren't really a thing. There's not a lot of harnesses on some of the construction sites.
So you're raising money as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like the question I often get asked is the why. Why am I doing it?
Yep.
And there's an element of selfishness in there. I want to go on a journey. I met a bloke in 2017, Tom Dennis. He's the only other Aussie that's done it. And he was a ripping bloke. And I'm like, I want to go on this journey. So I've followed his path.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do it. I wanted to have a break. I'd go on school, uni, work, like a lot of people have. No real gap year, no break. I've got no dependents, so just do it. Like I can afford to, which I'm really lucky and privileged to. So I thought I'm going to go, but then I want to make it more than just me. I'm really lucky in Brizzy. I work with a couple of charities, Inspiring Brighter Futures, which helps disadvantaged kids and at-risk youths, trying to get them back into mainstream education, away from, getting to a fork in the road and taking the wrong path. So we work with them in a mentoring basis. It's unreal. It was actually, the charity's actually started by my grade 7 school teacher, and I ran into him.
Oh, wow.
And then, so I've been
Physically
working.
or just...
Basically physically. We were just walking down the street one day. So it was like a literal bumping into each other. And
Well, he said, I've got this thing going on.
yeah,
nice.
And I've been in it for about 4 or 5 years now.
Similar background to me. I taught special needs kids and kids at risk at a whole high school. That is essentially that. But
So a lot of our programs are run out of the lower socioeconomic areas. We're growing. It's gone from Southeast Queensland to Queensland, and obviously national's the next step.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why it can't be international, and that's what we really want. Like there are kids everywhere that need assistance, but we also work with domestic violence victims, rehousing, getting them their independence back so they can get back into the workforce, and then also Indigenous population as well, and helping them out. And then we've got Wings for Life, which is a spinal cord injury charity. So we're trying to find a cure. Yeah. And the reason I like that is their sort of slogan is "Run for those that can't." Yeah, and that's. Yeah, I just like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it just resonates with me. Yeah.
So is that like anybody that's suffered a severe spinal injury, or is that like a debilitating disease of the spinal cord, or just anything?
All of the above. Yeah.
Because I've seen they made some advances recently where they were able to make people walk by sending a nerve signal around the injury.
Yeah, right.
Like
I'm probably not as au fait as
I
need to be. I've been busy.
Yeah, they had some success. I think it might have been either Elon Musk or I think it was either Elon. Yeah, it was almost exactly what Neuralink was made for.
Okay,
where it sent the the message and it got received by bypassing where the injury was. Pretty cool.
So that's awesome, right? Yeah. And then the third one is the Lung Foundation of Australia. My support crew that's helped me throughout it, and at the start they were on the road with me. Unfortunately, her mother passed away from lung cancer.
Yeah.
And lung cancer has that stigma
Yeah.
around it.
Everyone thinks it's cigarettes. But
Everyone
it's not
thinks,
just cigarettes.
it's not just cigarettes.
Yeah.
And even if it is just cigarettes, doesn't mean someone deserves cancer. You know what I mean? So, and it's got the lowest, is it lowest mortality or highest mortality? Highest death rate within 5 years. So
Wow.
getting rid of that stigma, quality of life,
Yeah.
elongation of life. And it's just personal.
Does that include the cystic fibrosis as well, or is it different?
To be honest, I don't know, but let's just say yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's just
get it
raise
all
as
in
much.
there.
Yeah, let's just raise as much awareness as possible. And we were talking before we jumped on that they're my charity partners, and whilst I'd love to raise as much money for them as possible, and I still will push it, I do respect and understand how tough times are at the moment. So awareness is just as good, and if you can donate time, like these charities rely on a heavy volunteer workforce. So if you've got time or an inclination and you want to learn more, then jump on my website, and that's as important to us as cold hard cash.
I love that. And I did watch it. How much does it affect you, the donations and the social interactions? Because I watched the Iron Cowboy last night. Have you seen the Iron Cowboy?
Yep.
Yeah, Iron Cowboy was, for the listeners that don't know, it's a bloke who did an Ironman every day for 50 days, back to back. And he was in fucking strife. Like, he was struggling, as you can probably empathise with. And what made it worse is that people were thinking he was not... What was it? Disingenuous with his actions and trying to make money for himself, or trying to get his own little trip funded for himself. And he wasn't. He was going to raise money for the Jamie Oliver Foundation and do all this stuff. And then it really impacted him mentally on the run, that people, like, he's doing this hard thing to try and help people, and people are actually hating on him. And I don't know if you've received any hate or anything like that, but the donation stuff, for example, he's like, I'm not earning enough money for the people that I'm trying to do this. What am I doing it all for? Does it become a mental game for you in that regard, or what's the driving force?
It probably does. I have flogged myself, to physically prepare for it, but also financially prepare for it as well. I make no bones about that. On my website, I have that every dollar donated, I receive a portion of it, and the more money that is donated, the less percentage I get, and the more goes to charity.
Because you need a baseline to be able to do it.
Just exactly,
And even just doing it is almost putting money into the awareness of the three charities that you've just said.
Well, that's right. So speaking on your podcast is valuable, to the charity partners as well, to get it out there, get that reach out there. I have been, touch wood, because now it's starting to grow. There's a few more eyeballs on my attempt, that I've been really lucky. It hasn't been, I haven't had anyone
hating,
call bullshit on what I'm doing, or hating on what I'm doing.
It's pretty hard too.
And if they did, I'm at to a point where I really don't give a shit.
Whatever.
Just whatever, I've done
sit
it,
in
mate.
your couch, you fat fuck.
Or even if you're not, and you're just going, well, I there's not... Like, I've been away for 426 days. And if you've watched me on Instagram, I look like I'm hurting. Like, if I was going to cheat, I would cheat better. You know what I mean? Like, I would not. And even that, it's going to happen. Right? It happens to everyone.
There's haters
not
on
to
everything.
everyone.
You could be the Mother Mary, and apparently Saint Teresa, Mother Teresa. Apparently she was a bit fucked as well, right? Like, you could be her and people would still hate on you. But Gandhi, man.
But I've been really lucky. Like, people have been super supportive. I think I've tried to be genuine and authentic, and say it what it is. Don't hide anything from anyone. Be transparent.
Authenticness is the most important thing in any sort of aspiration or thing that you decide to do, whether it be stand-up comedy, working for a charity, teaching, or just fucking washing a car window. If you're your authentic self, nobody will call bullshit on you, and no one's going to hate you, because they can tell authenticity. It's with anything. You can tell when someone's being authentic, or you can tell when someone's selling you fucking snake oil, or I've got crocodile tears. It's crocodile tears.
I know.
So authenticity is that's your most valuable asset.
100%. And I think, I don't know what drives someone to do, like, if someone's trying to do something for the right things and trying to raise awareness and that, I don't know why people were hating on him. They would call him bullshit on his technicalities of like, oh, well, that's not technically an Ironman if you're doing it on a...
Well, he did one. Didn't he do one day on an ergo or something?
On an
didn't he?
elliptical.
Elliptical.
Because they're in a hurricane and
he had a slight niggle or something.
They're
How
like,
dare he?
Yeah, and they were like, we're not donating because it's not an actual Ironman. Like, fuck off.
God.
Yeah, and that's sometimes like, yeah, I mean, it's an arbitrary thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's an arbitrary made up. Like this running around the world, it's an arbitrary made up. It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to probably the 7 other people that have done it.
Yeah.
But to outside of that group, like if you're not in a circle or you're not good friends, then you might have a passing glance at it and move on with your life.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting
You're like,
to
oh,
see
that's
the,
cool.
the human endeavor, what the body can do,
Yeah.
what the world looks like.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's an arbitrary event.
So, but like at the beginning of all this, so you mentioned the world record. So that you said 60 kilometers a day. That's an ultra a day.
That's
Now,
insane.
had you ever run an ultra? Like, where did you start?
Yeah,
You don't look skinny enough to be doing this.
I know.
You still look
Well,
solid,
actually,
you know?
the number one woman one of the number one women in the world. So I was watching the doco last night about her doing this long run, 400 and something kilometers in this terrain, and she broke the world record for women by 2 days. And I said to me, mate, who I was watching it with, I was like, you'd expect her to look a bit more,
bit leaner,
a bit more of an elite rig. And
Are you fat shaming her?
just like it was just like a standard, like just looked like a mum. She's like 50 or 60 years old, and she's like a mum, and just plodding around. And I was like, you'd expect her to be this lean, fit fighting machine, but I think the body at a certain point, once it gets to that, just adapts to, I need this to survive, and that's how I'm going to shape my body.
And I think it's a lot upstairs as well. Like there's no doubt that I'm like not the most physically like gifted, but like that's like I don't sit here and say, I work hard, I train hard, but I also have a balanced lifestyle as well, where I'll catch up with mates and have a couple of drinks and eat out, and but my body has changed. Like I think I was fitter at the start than I am now. But my body, I think it's just fat adapted. I'm not moving as fast.
Yeah, but those listening, he's not fat. I wasn't calling him fat. I'm just saying he looks solid, he's built almost like a footy player.
So in the last, I'll be the world record holder for the heaviest person.
Oh, really?
To have run around the world.
How heavy are you?
About 80, 81.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I lost a fair bit of weight early doors, like across New Zealand. But then I think my body just adapted.
Well, that interests me that, and again, I just keep going back to the docos I was watching. They were putting on weight during the runs.
Yeah, I have. I lost weight early and I've put it slowly back on.
Do you know why that happens?
I think I've fat adapted. I think my heart rate's dropped.
Yeah.
I'm not burning, so I'm not going into my stores.
Yeah.
But I'm still consuming
the
5,000-6,000 calories a day. But my body doesn't necessarily need it. But it then becomes habitual as well. It's like smoking, right?
Yeah.
Like you quit smoking and you replace it just because you used to like putting the cigarette in your mouth.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think I just eat because that's what I know I think I should be doing.
Yeah. I wonder what happens when you stop. This pod, we always go in little circles. We circle back.
Yeah.
We do our own around the world chat. When you stop, will you just like stack weight on, or will you want to keep eating, or like?
Well, who knows, right? So I think finishing is a whole thing unto itself. I think people.
How much longer have you got?
I've got about probably 130 days left.
Oh my God.
So I've still got, because I've...
Oh my God. That's like...
It's got to run across Australia.
2 years of running.
So I'm hoping to be done in about 560 days all up.
Wow. Fuck me. So your fitness levels going in, were you training
were you doing ultras back to back at all? Or?
Yeah, so I was... It was really... I suppose I didn't know what I needed to do because...
Well, how the fuck do you know?
Exactly. And I didn't want to do too much. I didn't want to turn a 500-600 day run into an 800 day run by doing overloading the body too much before I even started.
Yep.
But I was doing probably 150 to 250 Ks a week. Okay. So I was getting some good mileage in just differently.
Yep.
And there's a lot to be said about being in an environment that you're familiar with, eating the food that you know, sleeping in your own bed, being around people that make you comfortable made it a lot easier because once I was on the road, all that disappears.
Yeah.
So there's no familiarity. I'm in I've slept in like nearly 400 different beds.
Yeah.
Player.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have energy.
Nothing.
Surely, yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it works anymore. We can edit that bit out to the female audience.
We'll get the Neuralink.
Yeah. So all that, I think that makes it. So even that, that huge difference between doing the Ks at home and then doing the Ks on the road. But I went in probably 70% fit, knowing that I'd get fit, and I felt like I did. The first 100 days, it was
Crazy.
it was pretty easy to be fair. Like Tommy, who I'd spoken to a lot in the lead up, he was like, yeah, it's probably 7 out of 10 physically.
Yeah.
I call complete bullshit on that. Like it has gone to 12 out of 10 sometimes for me. But but at the start, I felt really good. I was up and over hills. We were doing 65s every day, pretty regularly.
Yep.
We had travel days. We got flooded a few days.
65 kilometres a day.
So when it floods, does it become Ironman, or you have to?
Oh, you got to
swim
keep
through,
running.
run?
So we got blocked one day because the rules are you have to start every day from where you finish the day before. So then sometimes we'd have to drive to an RV park or a motel.
Yep.
And then a couple of days, the rain was so bad in California that we couldn't get back.
Fuck.
So we just had a lay day,
Oh,
which does your head in when you're trying to.
Yeah.
You feel good early doors.
Yeah.
And you're trying to break a record and you're stuck twiddling your thumbs for 24, 48 hours. So that happened a couple of times. God, I've had the most horrific weather.
Yeah.
So that seems interesting because, like, I can only use my own ultra experience as like the battles you go through just in one run. Mm-hmm. So they're just like, if I can just get to here, I can get to that point.
Yep.
You're going through that like on a daily basis, but like over 500 days, like that must. I'll get to 40 Ks and go, okay, well I've got 40 Ks left. You're going to 40 Ks. I got 40 Ks left to finish today, and then I'm going to do it another
again and again and again and again.
560 days. How does that meant like that meant?
I just.
There must be a lot of emotions.
There are a lot of emotions. Like I'm really lucky, I guess, that I'm not quick necessarily. Like I could go run a marathon.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I say not quick. I'm really proud of what I've achieved in running. So I used to weigh 120 kilos.
Oh wow.
Smoke, drink, treat my body with the utmost disrespect until about 20 years ago, when I just was like, enough's enough. And I started running and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with how hard it was for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Tim Goggins.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've got Goggins covered, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, but I do respect Goggins, and obviously the life he's lived, tough going.
Stupid,
but yeah, I just think I'm about sustainable. Well, what I'm doing is arguably not sustainable, but I want people exercising smartly, sustainably their entire lives until they're 80.
Yeah.
Still getting out, get moving. Don't smash your body to smithereens and break legs and piss blood and do all that stuff.
And keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Stupid.
Like there's a percentage of the population that will thrive on that, and that's great, but that's not necessarily where I'm at. I want people to enjoy exercise, love it, move for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And in any way. You know, and I hear a lot like people go for these runs and they don't enjoy running.
Yeah.
I'm like, life's 80 years. Why would you do something that's really unenjoyable?
Yeah.
You can move and do crazy stuff that you still really enjoy. Like I love running. I think I'm so
I'm
glad.
still trying to get that little runner's high that you all talk about. I'm like,
It's
I love
it's
it
like,
now.
not there.
yeah. Once you're fit and you feel like you're floating,
That's where I've gotten to
Yeah.
that point now. Initially, I had to break through.
Yeah.
Like I went from playing football fitness, where you're running 15 Ks in a game. It's because it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun of the game.
Yeah.
Have a goal.
Going
You have
out
an
and
objective.
yeah, well, but
when you're just running, you're like,
yes, going out and
Forrest
running
Gump.
15 Ks is so much harder mentally. I
Yeah.
remember a couple of years after I finished playing semi-professional football, I decided to go for a run.
yeah.
And it was 10 kilometres, and this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Mentally, I was just like, I can't get through 10 kilometres. I used to run 15 Ks in a game and then fucking 5 Ks before just to warm up.
also because you reverse it, it's now not a team sport, it's a solo pursuit.
Yeah.
So when I ran with you the first time I ran, furthest I'd ever run was like 9K or 8K that I ran with him. It was like 14K. But that was way easier than when I was by myself because it was a big
100%.
group and we were chatting. And then the next one we did, first I ever run a couple of weeks ago, we did I did 25Ks. And that was much easier than going for a solo 10K run because we were with each other and it was like a group thing. So doing it on your own.
Once you break through and it does become a bit easier, and you do get, like you just said, once you break and you're floating and it does become enjoyable because it becomes an action that you can do to just maintain.
You have to enjoy being alone.
You got to, and that's one thing. I really enjoy people, and you could probably see, like if you looked at my Strava, you see where I ran with people and where I was on my own.
Yeah,
it's always like a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
which is good or not good, but it's always like I've always been better with people because it's someone's holding you to account.
Yeah,
you forget what you're doing and you can have a chat.
Yeah.
But back to like every day I battle, like, you know, I know. So at the moment, like it was 60 Ks, and at the moment I'm just hit minimum 50, and then push for 55, and then if you still feel good, keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got 30K mark is where I'm like, all right, you're home now. Like I know I've still got 25 Ks to go, but once I hit 30, it's just a psychological thing.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I really struggle. I've been really struggling lately between 15 and 30 Ks every day. Just
because you know what you got ahead of you.
Yeah, well, I know what I've got ahead of me, but I don't think about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I haven't gone, I've got to do. Yeah. Sometimes the only time I think about tomorrow is when I pull up. Yeah. And I go, I've done like 65 or 68. I feel really good. I could keep going, but I've got to think about tomorrow, the next day. And it's not like the next week, but it's the next month. So I've pulled myself back.
Because you go through, and my experience in the ultras is you do go through ebbs and flows within the run. And then you'll be like, I'm cooked, I can't keep going. Then you push through a little further and then you're like, I could go another 10Ks actually. So do you take advantage of that, those ebbs and flows?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get like finish line fever as well. Like you see the end of the day in sight. And you're like, I could, and then you finish and like, I could have kept going.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So
what do they call it? Finish line fever.
Finish line. Well, that's what I find.
I love it.
Finish like, and you just push to the end. But I mean, I go. I start okay, get to 6, 7, 8 Ks, feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Then body, it's been really challenging because I've been in like minus 5 to 15 degrees for like months. Yeah. The last few months, so you never warm up. Like your body, I just wear shorts. I hate wearing long pants when I run.
Yeah.
So your body just doesn't warm up. So as soon as you stop, you cool right down. Then you got to restart.
Is that good for injuries or is it like reverse?
I don't honestly. I don't know.
Have you been okay? Like physically, everything's working well.
Your body must wear down. Hey?
Yeah, I've had 2 significant injuries. I got early doors about sort of that about 100 days in.
Yep.
I got like tendonitis on both my shins. So it's like it feels like I think everyone that does like these hyper endurance running events gets it.
Yeah.
That it's this. Like tendonitis that goes through the shins because your body just is not used to that load.
Yeah.
And it was excruciating. Like the elastic of my socks was painful. My legs were like double the size.
They physically were double, swollen up.
Yeah, they were swollen. Wow.
Is it where like the tendons feel like rocks? And there's no
basically.
Give?
Yeah, there's no, but they're really like they're just swollen. So that lasted for about 30 days.
Fuck. And you're still doing 50 Ks a
Yeah,
day?
I was still punching 60s and stuff. Yeah.
And what sort of pace were you running them at?
I was still doing 6:30s.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, just at a consistent.
Yeah, I was just moving, but it was it was painful. Like it was bringing me some, and this is what I mean. This is where borderline not who I am, but like I had to push through it because it was early. I would never, as a coach, say I'd say stop, rest, get better. But it is amazing what the human body can adapt to, endure and repair on the go.
Wow. So you had painkillers or antifungal?
Yeah, so I took some Brufen.
Yeah. And what the body, after 30 days, the body just goes, we're fucking going, let's go.
Yeah, I think it just healed.
Wow.
It was just healing, but just healing slower.
Yeah.
Had I stopped, it would have maybe healed.
Because rest is
more
super
quickly.
important for your body to recover.
Yeah, exactly right.
And would your toes and nails and stuff, would they just be a callus? Like they'd just be done now? Like you wouldn't blister anymore?
Yeah,
Or-
so weirdly, I got a blister the other day where I've never had a blister before.
Never?
Never had a blister before.
The whole run?
Oh, no, sorry. I had
spot of
blisters
the
on
body.
that particular
yeah,
spot,
okay.
just on that particular
I was
toe.
going to say, Jesus, you
so
lucky
I got,
bastard.
I got some blisters on my big toes early and then on my heels, but I haven't had a blister
Touch wood.
in like 400 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And toenails?
Toenails I've lost, I think 11 or 12.
Wow.
I had the worst version of losing a toenail the other night. Did I tell you about this one?
Lost
So
a
like I do ultras every now and
Yeah,
then. We did
yeah.
one the other day. Me and Delby did a beer one, and
Yep.
one of my toenails was loose. Got in the bed on the bed sheet,
Scraped it off.
and it just went and ripped off, and that's not a nice way
No,
to lose
no,
them
not
when
a
they're
nice way.
already loose, and it's just yeah.
You want it just to fall off
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
shower
Or
or
just get to a
something.
point where it's so wiggly you can just wiggle
Most
it
people
out
want to keep
yourself.
theirs. You know, if you guys want, if you want it to just fall off.
my big toes have copped a pounding.
Yeah.
But,
You must have.
but I'm really lucky though because the really good people at Injinji
There we go. I was going to say shout out. Yeah.
have like they.
Are they
honestly,
socks or shoes?
So Injinji socks,
Yep.
they're toe socks.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I've
wow.
worn them through all the ultras I've done before this run.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no, like there was no sponsorship there.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I absolutely swear by them. They're
Yeah.
like, I don't know what they've done, or what material they use, but
Yeah.
they're quick drying. They
Injinji.
keep me warm. Injinji.
Okay,
Yeah.
Injinji.
They're amazing. They are
An
ridiculous.
ingenious solution to,
Do you-
to toenails.
You'd have to like you would have to have had some mechanical failure go on aside from the tendonitis.
Yeah,
like
just my right hip.
Yeah.
My right
Hip.
hip locked up in
'cause it's just
Germany.
that's
Yeah.
And I literally couldn't stand. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't walk.
Fuck.
And I was like, this is it. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this what's gonna? But I just kept going.
yeah.
I was really smart about that one. Took 3 days off, which is the longest I've taken off, except for when I came home for
How
dad.
does a day off go for you mentally?
Hate it. Oh no, mentally okay. Physically,
Yeah.
my body
Oh.
just goes. My body just tight, like immediately tight. I think my body just goes. Is it done?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I
Done?
can. Yeah. I can
And just
stop
goes
now.
into protective mode
Yeah.
and recover mode. So days or like 1 day off is horrendous. 2 days off is better
Yeah.
because it tightens and then recovers.
Yeah.
1 day is the pits. Like travel days are really bad because
Yeah.
I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, we won't keep you too
No,
long.
well, I'm sitting in an economy seat,
Yeah.
cramped in.
Yeah.
So it's been that's tough.
And then
So
what about
if Injinji want to get on board to upgrade him to premium,
premium, I want the front end. I want flat lay.
what does the schedule look like? Like today? What are you running today?
No,
or-
so today because I flew in at 2:00
Yep.
this morning. Today was always a rest day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I try to have a rest day on the travel day and then the day after.
Where are you
Yeah.
starting? So
Nice.
you're running tomorrow?
So tomorrow I'm starting. So tomorrow I'm Cottesloe Park Run.
nice.
Yeah.
So I've put a shout out on my
Yeah, I've seen that.
Instagram and stuff. So
There'll be a ton of people.
share it. Yeah.
So what's it, how far are you running from there?
I don't know.
Just 5Ks. Just
yeah, I don't know. I don't, depends. It depends who's there. If people are there and they want to have a catch up and a coffee afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. That's the beauty of it. Well, the beauty of the fact that the record's gone
Yeah.
means I can enjoy it.
Yeah.
how what's the record?
So the record is 434 days.
Right.
So I'm like 9 days away, and
Yeah,
I've still got to
okay.
run across the country.
And how do you deal with that emotion? Is that like disappointing to know that you're not going to beat a record? Is that not what you set out to do? What's your feeling there?
Yeah. So the record, it was there,
Yeah.
and I thought it was achievable.
Yeah.
I now know that Serge Gerard, he's a French bloke that has the record.
His name's Sir Gerard? Or
Serge.
you call it?
No,
Serge.
Serge.
I thought you
Serge.
just respected him, Heaps.
Sir Gerard. The respect that I have for the 7 people that
Yeah.
have done this
Yeah.
is, and the fact that he averaged over 434 days, 60.5 Ks a day,
insane.
including travel, rest, anything that was
Beast
thrown
mode.
out, mate. Unbelievable.
But you were on track.
Logistically, you couldn't have any setbacks either.
No, nothing. He, what we always say, he went in the other direction.
Oh, so he did the easy
So
way.
I'm like, that's
obviously.
the downhill route.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's just unbelievable. Like, and I spoke to, like, they've all been lovely. I've spoken to all bar one of the others that have done it, and they've all, like, they're just,
Do they sit there, look at you and go, I know.
yeah.
I know.
I think actually they look at me and go, geez, he's making it harder than it needs to be.
Wow.
But,
Yeah.
Because
But,
I mean, I like to think I'm quite resilient and quite strong, but I feel like a little bitch when I look at something that you're doing. I couldn't fathom, like, where's your head at? Where does it come to? I'm going to run around the world 60 kilometers. Like, where does that spawn from? Like, that must come from some dark, like, desires almost. There has to be something driving that other, because it seems...
I think naivety and ignorance played a big part in it as well. I was like, I'm just going to go do it. Because what's the worst that can happen?
Die.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, but that's exactly right.
That's
And I died doing something that I loved.
Yeah.
You know, that's the worst. And I would, like, say for me being hit by a car or struck by lightning or some freak accident happening, I'm not going to put, like I was saying before, I'm not going to put myself in that position because I respect people in my life too much to throw it all away being stupid.
And how much does that factor in? Like, you have to consider, like, death, heart attack,
I to be honest, I haven't, but I think that's just how I don't do risk management and go through what can go wrong. I'm more look at it, go, well, what can go right? You know what I mean?
Great.
I understand risk. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a solicitor by trade.
Nice.
So like my whole life is risk aversion, really.
Yeah.
But I'm really at the other end and go, well, I mean, things can go wrong, but who cares? And the whole premise was, I'll regret it more if I don't start than if I don't finish.
Yeah.
If I don't finish, like there's so many reasons why I shouldn't finish. Like I've got some physical ailments. Like I've got one leg significantly shorter than the other.
Yeah.
I've got scoliosis.
Yeah.
You know, there's things the reasons why I shouldn't be even attempting this. But
you're a white guy.
Can I plead the fifth on that one as well?
Oh, well, yeah, I shouldn't assume, but
I seen a
up
video
against us these
video the other day, and it was a guy saying, you know, where dreams go to die, and it's always in the planning phase, and it's that procrastination. And you always find reasons why I can't do it right now, instead of just like fucking lean in, just start it, and I'll get it done. Yeah,
and even if you don't get it done, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't finish this run, the only person in 2 months that would care would be me.
Yeah. That's right.
But the problem is people, and not the problem, but ego drives everything, right? And it's not always that ego is on the best person that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Its ego is in what will other people think of me if I fail?
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
No one gives a fuck.
Everyone's so caught up in their own stuff, in their own life, what they're doing, what their inner circle's doing, that Tim Franklin on the periphery for one moment on an Instagram reel goes, I didn't finish.
Yeah.
Oh, well, obviously, he was trying to run around the world. He didn't finish.
And
then 15 minutes later, another new cycle's broken.
And in your head, you build it up into this thing that you think everyone's...
For me, it is the most important thing in my life right now.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, well, say for maybe the 10 closest people to me, it doesn't mean a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. And so I'm doing this for me and those close to me, raise awareness for charity. If I happen... I can't fail.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't failed. I can't fail.
Yeah.
Failing would be me still being in Brisbane doing what I was doing 426 days ago.
For sure. Yeah. And like people have seen 426 days worth of running that and I'm not going to go, oh, he fucking couldn't even do it.
I mean, and I do say that I'm not going to sit here and say that what people say or think about me doesn't impact me.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky yesterday. I spoke to grade 11s at an international school in Singapore.
Yeah.
And what I said to them was, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And like that's not Tim Franklin 2024.
Yeah.
That I just love that quote because I am as guilty as anyone of going, well, how come blah 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 did this and they've got 250 or 300 or 400,000 followers and I'm killing myself and I've got 11.
Yeah.
You know
Sir
what I mean?
Gerard did it the other way and he
exactly. Like and these guys get this sponsorship or this is happening or money's coming in for them. Why aren't I?
Yeah, that's not the right reason to be doing something.
That's not the reason to be doing something. And that's ego, right? That's what gets in the way. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm not guilty of thinking about it. I'm just aware of it. And try and do it as little as I possibly can.
And instead of like saying, I'm going to run 10 marathons in 10 days, you went for the whole world thing. Did you look at other challenges or you just like...
No, it was always this one. Yeah, it was always this one.
Yeah.
Because of Tommy, when I met Tommy and he'd done it.
Yeah.
And he just spoke to me about it. And I was like, I've run multi-day stage races before.
Yeah.
I sort of know that I can back up day after day. I haven't done anything like that before.
Yeah.
I've done silly things like I ran a marathon in my apartment during COVID.
Nice.
I ran a marathon around a Aussie rules field pushing a wheelbarrow.
Nice. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
weird, like done weird stuff
Yeah.
like that, but never anything like this extreme.
So you're a psychotic person.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Wes Kappa.
yeah.
Not all my dogs are barking.
It's
So you-
interesting because we sort of touched on it before we started the podcast, but you don't listen to any music or any like podcasts or anything the first few hours.
That is crazy.
And I'm similar. I like to get as long as I can into something challenging without the distraction to distract myself from the pain, and then I go, right now it's a relief. Is that how you sort of see it, or do you just try not to? Are you just one of those crazy Goggins type?
No.
They're like fucking music for pussies.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Like they're. I think I actually have found myself that when I'm not listening to anything, I've been running faster.
Oh, wow.
So I've just been like, I'll just not listen to anything, but then there are some days where I put ears straight in because I'm like, I couldn't be bothered today.
Yeah.
So I put ears straight in, feeling okay, listen to podcasts, start to dip, feel a bit low.
Yeah.
Teeny bopper.
Listens to
stuff.
us, Delby. I don't know if
Yeah.
you hear that. Listens to us.
Nice.
Listen to this. Well, a heavy WA influence.
Fuck
Am
yeah.
I listening? You boys, the back chat lads.
Nice.
So
What's your
Delby.
favourite episode? Where you're like, I can't remember.
yeah,
I was 60
I
Ks
can't
in.
remember. There was actually one I felt. One was really educational for me.
Yeah.
Was when is it Corey?
Corey
White.
Yeah.
Or Corey Green or Corey White.
Came
Strength and conditioning.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
Corey White.
political.
Political. Yeah, it was talking about Gaza.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And what was going on
Yeah,
there.
sweet. Well, I was getting educated at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So that was.
Yeah.
But that must be. It must serve as a bit of a like because I like to zone out and put on something that I don't have to think about. Like I'll put on something like a Rogan or a Three Bears, Two Bears, One Cave, something like or Theo Von and stuff like that, just to laugh and giggle.
Yeah,
But
I'm a true crime
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
as well because it just takes me away.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I get involved in what's happened. I'm like, like a who done it.
Yeah, so you're trying to work it out while
Trying to
running,
work
so you're
out
not
running,
focusing.
so then I'm not
So it's just a
focusing
distraction.
because
Yep.
the only thing I've got is my watch.
Yeah.
And it's a killer, right? If I could do it without
Yeah.
like a GPS tracker,
Yeah.
like a watch on, I'd love it because I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
going this pace, this car, this,
yeah,
or how many Ks, how slow can I go
Yeah.
in order to get to this many Ks by this time?
Yeah.
Do you ever just listen to your body and go, I'm just going to chill and just run, and whatever time I finish, I finish?
I pretty well do that. Well, I'd like to say I do that every day, but then if you go look at it, it'd be like 65s stopping, 60s
Yeah.
stopping, 55s. Then 50s I've slowly,
Yeah.
my days have slowly got shorter as it's gone.
A couple of mates were looking at your Strava yesterday. I didn't realise you were on Strava, so I'll go and have a follow. But they were looking at it, and he's like, man, he's like when he can't get it done, he just go like run around a park and stuff like that. Somewhere were you in Singapore? You
In
did
Singapore,
like,
yeah, I
did
just
the
did
track or something.
Yeah, I just did a few laps around Singapore.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not considered one of my continents.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be continuous run.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they still want it to be as much as I can, but obviously I got to Singapore and
So when you say they, is this the Guinness World Records? Is this some? like,
yeah, it's like the World Runners Association.
Okay.
And
And that's who the record's with?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll circle back to knowing that you couldn't beat it, and then you've got that motivation to. Where do you find that from? Because you've set out wanting to get the world record,
Yep.
and then that hasn't happened. So you're like, where's the motivation in your mind to continue just to be one of the finishers? Or
Yeah,
like,
really, really easy. I mean, I started it save for significant physical ailments or something happening way outside my control. I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
And
can
then-
go down that path of like what the reason you haven't achieved
Yeah.
the world record, as long as you don't mind going down that path.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I think the world record was always super challenging, right? That's why it's a world record, right? And he took 190 days off, the second fastest
Wow.
person to do it. So he didn't just beat it; he
smashed it.
and he's got records galore. There should be more about him. No, he's a phenom.
Yeah. But he's French, so.
Yeah, he was used to running away. No,
That's so good.
Clip that.
let's edit that out. No
Tag
chance.
him in- tag him in it.
Yeah, I won't be getting
That's
back.
brilliant.
I'm no longer welcome in the EU. So about it was about 180 to 100 days in, and I got a phone call from my mum and dad to let me know that my dad had terminal cancer.
Fuck.
And he had 3 months to live. And I was like, cool. But you know, you get stories of that happening and people living for another 5 years.
Yeah.
And my old man was a super positive dude, like similar to me. I've very sort of similar traits to him. And I was like, yeah, that's and that I got at the same time that my leg was really sore as well. So I was like, far out.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, we were talking, but my folks were never really giving me the whole truth. Hey, how's Dad going? Yeah, he's good. Well, he's not. He's dying.
Yeah.
And then, about 2 weeks before he passed away, the oncologist said to Mum, like, if Tim and my brother was away as well, they're like, if they want to say goodbye, come now.
Fuck, that's brutal.
So I was like, and we'd spoken about if something like this happens because everyone's getting older.
Yeah.
And like they were like, nah, stay, keep pushing, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The run's more important, which is really what I now know that's really easy to say.
Yeah.
Words can be really cheap sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I've got to go home and say goodbye. And he actually wanted me to come home.
Yeah.
So I went home and I got home before he passed away.
Yeah, beautiful.
Said goodbye, spent some time with him, spent some time with my family.
Yeah.
But that was 2 weeks like out of running.
Yeah, but fuck me.
And it's-
Your dad's gone forever after that.
Exactly
so
right.
If you wanted to, you could always try again.
Exactly right.
So,
exactly right.
yeah.
And it was 60. So losing 2 weeks of 60K days means. So that's really hard. That's like say 600-700 Ks to catch up.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you're on the edge anyway.
Yeah.
That's probably not the sole reason why I didn't get the record, but it just meant that
nail in the coffin.
It was the nail in the
But
coffin.
that's the universe throwing its challenges at you. You've got your fucked up shins. You've heard that from your dad. Then it's like, right, well, what are you going to do? You're being tested as a person, as an athlete. And you kind of, did you find out a bit about yourself through that as well?
Yeah. I get, well, what I found out is that people matter, right?
Fucking hell. Yeah,
like I wasn't the easiest kid, an adolescent and teenager to my parents, but shit, they were always there, right? I think Yannick Sinner, who won the Oz Open the other day, said he's the luckiest person in the world because of who his parents were.
Yeah.
And I am standing on that podium right next to him.
Yeah.
Because they just did everything for me. Everything. Valued education, food on the table, clothes on my back, roof over my head, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And to have the opportunity to go home and say goodbye, I will never regret that.
Yeah.
Nah,
And the record, again, it's an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
If I run around the world, which I think is a pretty cool human endeavor, and someone goes, "Did you break the world record?" I'll be like, "I didn't."
Yeah, but only 7 other people have finished.
Yeah, but I'm also the top 10 fastest.
Yeah. So where are you sitting in the ranks right now? Are you still going to be? Will you be the 8th fastest because of that, or are you still looking at?
No, I should be second. Well, if everything goes to plan, I should be second fastest.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah. So I should. So I think. Yeah, if I finish in 130, 140 days, that'll take me to about 560 and 621 is the second fastest.
Because Serge knocked 190 days off.
Off that.
You've got
I got
half a year to play with.
Yeah, and it's funny, Tommy, the other Aussie that's done it, we did a race through the Simpson Desert.
Yeah.
And I was leading that and got injured and he beat me. So I'm not letting it happen fucking twice, mate. After this, it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah.
So he broke the world record when he did it.
Yeah.
He did it in 622 days. And then some guy beat him by a day.
Oh, my gosh.
That guy had to run 80 Ks on his last day.
Wow.
To beat him. And then obviously Serge came in and did what he did. And there's a French lady that just finished the year before last now, just before I started. She finished. And she's been lovely. She's been super.
Wicked.
She's messaging me all the time.
And everything's fresh for her, right?
Yeah. And she gets it. And
Have you been documenting this? Is there a documentary on the attempt, or is there anything?
We've taken a lot of footage. Like everything's on Instagram at Timmy R. Franklin.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everything's there. But yeah, I'd love to. But again, that's just like I'd like to have it for me.
Yeah.
And like I think people will be interested, but I think people are more interested in like what's going on mentally.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
And
this is
psychologically.
what I found so interesting in the 2 docos I watched last night was the range of emotions they'd go through within minutes.
Yeah.
And like the changing of like crying, fucking just breaking down, like just for no reason, just no explanation for why they're crying and feeling like they're in pain. And then the next minute they're like, right, let's go. Yeah. We're all good. And like, fuck, have you been through those sorts of dark moments?
Have you had a cry? Have you wanted to quit?
I've cried more in the last 400 days than I have in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Like easily. Like, I've wanted to quit hourly. You know,
what is it that stops you from quitting? Like, what is that, man? Because for me, I know mentally I'm fairly weak. I'll be like, I gave it a go. I reckon I'd stop.
Yeah, probably ego.
Yeah.
Probably is the reason. And I'm doing, and I think if my reason why I'm doing it's deep enough.
Yes.
Like if you're just going out and you've entered a race and you haven't really trained, it doesn't mean a lot for you.
Yeah.
And you're in it and you're like, this hurts. I've got other bigger fish to fry. I'm just going to pull out. Well, there's no bigger fish to fry for me. And like, I really want to help these charities out. I really want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I potentially would like to make a living out of it after I've done it. Like, there's a lot of reasons to why. And I just, and plus like what I see and who I've met and where I've been and and what I've been through.
So what I noticed was like, the end of these sorts of runs and these achievements, often there's a temporary moment of bliss and joy and achievement. And then
he's got another 180 days.
Well, yeah, but that's where I'm leading. So Akana Murray Lovett, is that it? Lovett Murray? Anyway, Akana. She broke the world record for the most marathons back to back for the women, and as far as I'm aware, that still stands. We had her on the podcast, and she finished, and then you sort of just see her going about her daily life, and you're like, fuck, that you've gone from doing something that's just such a journey and just spurs you along have you thought about, like, at the end, that moment, like you finish, what's next? Like, is there going to be something else, or do you just like, I'm just trying to get to that point first? And then
at the moment, I'm just trying to get to that point first. I've got no doubt that there'll be, like, when I'm finished, they'll because I'm a triathlon coach, and people do Ironman triathlon, and they get like post Ironman blues, like that, like real dip, and I've got no doubt that that's going to happen. But I've got things lined up, like I'm doing like a triathlon here. I've got a holiday booked.
Okay.
So I'm lining things up, and I don't know. I feel like I'm really comfortable and ready to finish.
Yeah.
I think for those ones that aren't as long, there's not as many peaks and troughs, so they're still feeling up and about.
Because you still have to run across Australia.
Yeah, I've still got nearly and I'm going the long way as well. Like, normally you can run across Australia in like less than 4,000 kilometres, and I have to do 7,000.
Yeah, okay.
So
I know a bloke with some camels that can help you if you need.
Yeah, old Johnny.
Our sponsor.
So I've still got a really long time to go, and that's probably the hardest thing. Like coming home, like this is home, but it's not. I'm nowhere near home.
Yeah,
like I've still got like 26% or 27% of the run to do.
Where's the next? So have you got Australia and then somewhere else?
No,
so
Brisbane.
it's all.
So you got it. Okay. So one of the other rules is you have to start and stop in the same place.
Okay, cool.
So I started in Brizzy at South Bank Parkrun. I don't know if you guys have been to Brizzy, but
Logan's. I heard it. Good area.
great area. Mate, South East Queensland, Gold's country. So it's South Bank Parkrun. It's like right in our city, man-made
Perfect.
pool.
Awesome.
That's where I started, and that's where I want to finish.
Yeah.
So that's the finish line.
Is that the one near the river? And there's
Yes.
I actually went for a run past
there. You go.
Hey.
World Expo 88 as well.
Nice.
So that's the finish line. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm trying not to let myself get there too soon.
All right, we'll change topic.
I don't even know where we were going.
Yeah,
just that feeling.
And the afterwards.
Yeah, the post, because that's a
afterwards.
common thing I find, not just with runners, and you see
everything.
it with like elite athletes. You see
point.
Volkanovski, like Volkanovski, like
He just
almost
needs to fight.
in tears when he couldn't fight and he couldn't be in his training camps. Like,
Yeah, but that's unhealthy if you at that point.
Yeah.
You
Even
make
now,
a great
like-
point about still being on the up, and you haven't got almost that finish or that natural progression
you're
where,
sort of
where you've got your
over
ups and downs. Yeah.
So I wonder what it is, because like even right now, like me not being able to run right now because of this thing, that's nothing. It's 2 or 3 days where I just need to have a little break. But I'm sitting there like, it's like there's something that, and on a escalated level with elite athletes, there must be something happening mentally. I don't know what the
has to be. I mean, whether it's like an addiction to a degree, or you've just put everything in and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah,
I feel like
you take that away, and that's like even from my mum. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but my mum losing dad.
Yeah,
they were together, married for like just under 50 years, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah,
how do you deal with that? That's an emotional thing, and obviously this is a completely different. But the whole premise of I've done this one thing that's been my sole focus for 18 to 20 months, and then it's gone.
Familiarity, structure, routine.
But I'm also looking forward to just stopping.
Yeah,
like I really am. Like a lot of people say, they just keep going, and maybe when I get closer to the end, and that adrenaline rush and that euphoric feeling of finishing, I'll be like, I want to keep going. Yeah. But at this point in time, it's been awesome, but I don't want it to go forever.
But it's been a common thing. Like John Elliott had the same sort of feeling, and that's not elite sports. It's like this journey. You had Alan Roberts as well. The end of the journey, they're like, fuck, it's done.
Yeah. Well, I think almost like ego, people say ego is a bad thing. Listening to what you said earlier, ego can be really positive because it's keeping you going on this run. I think the part or the depression comes in where your ego feels you've something unfinished, or you haven't done something as well as you possibly can. So like right now you're like, I can't train. So it's like, because you know that you can and you can keep going, you're going to do it. But if you've like done what you're doing, your ego will go, man, we've done it. We've fucking ran the world. Like, I feel like there'd be a different sense than maybe like a Usain Bolt who could have made another Olympics, for example. Yeah. And he has that feeling where you're like,
I don't know. But I mean, it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a down.
Yeah.
Whether it's like as far as like depression or whatever. I don't want to talk too lightly about that. Yeah. But yeah, I've got no doubt that, and I've got a friend that's a sports psych.
Yeah, nice.
They're ready. To chat to work through it if it does happen. Because I've this has been my life.
But I think it doesn't sound like it's your whole identity and reason for living. You've got other things happening in your life, so it's not like all in. Yeah. And then when it's finished, you don't even know who you are as a person.
But it probably doesn't matter when it's something this big. Like it will play a factor.
Yeah, no doubt, and that's why and I like to lead like a relatively like I hate the word busy, but full program. You know what I mean? Like I like to do one thing and go to the next, and not necessarily doing everything. Perfectly, but just doing a lot. So I'm already backfilling the second half of this year.
Perfect.
I guess just as well, this is your why at the moment. So it's probably more so you have a why, and then when you finish it, a lot of people probably do not replace that why with a new why. I guess it is having a purpose to drive. Whether that maybe it's being a great dad and raising a family, or whether it's okay, I'm going to start this business, or whatever it ends up being after. Maybe it's physical, but like I guess it's probably just
coaching people.
It's probably just about finding a purpose and finding a why at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think everyone, it doesn't last forever either. The down won't last forever.
Of course not.
So you just work through it, knowing that it's going to get better. But I'm trying not to let myself get there just yet. Coming home, it was a really weird feeling flying in last night. Like I was emotional that like, holy shit, I've actually made it back to Australia. I'm like nearly 20,000 kilometres in. It's incredible. Back to Oz.
And now you got to run the fucking
and now
desert.
I've got to run. Now I've got to run. Well, I'm really.
Which way are you going?
I'm going south. So and I've never been down there before, which is awesome as well. So I've done the Ironman down in Busso. But I'm heading like Bunbury.
I don't think it's too flat.
Is it Albany?
Is it flat? Yeah,
Albany.
Not Albany.
It's a beautiful region down there.
Esperance.
My grandparents and my uncle lives in Albany.
Esperance, nice.
And then up to Norseman, Sejuna.
Oh, beautiful.
And then like down. Streaky Bay, back up, Adelaide.
You got to do a nerdy run at Streaky Bay.
I think you have to. It won't be pretty though. I
was going to ask you. It sort of popped into my ADD brain when you mentioned that you booked a holiday after. Is that somewhere that you've run through and you're like, I need to come back here and experience it?
Oh yeah.
No, that particular holiday isn't.
Okay.
But what I was thinking the other day, like, where would I want to go back to? But I love to go back and drive
Yep.
parts of it.
Of course, yeah.
Like, and just like enjoy. Like, I felt like I've immersed myself in it, running through it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to go back and just like Patagonia.
You could do the same track and like
Same
and
track.
go, oh, this is what I missed or this is what I felt. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Was it you were going past? I feel like when I was watching, it was the Alps or somewhere like that, and you end up making comment of it, like, how lucky am I to be running? Was it Austria or it was somewhere along?
Yeah, I think it was Austria.
Austria's
yeah,
unreal,
was,
hey?
yeah.
And you were just like, I have to take a look at this and go, like, how lucky am I that I'm running through these beautiful beautiful scenery?
And I think that's what I haven't. Probably feel like I haven't done enough of.
yeah.
Is just enjoy it.
That's all right.
But-
like you will get a
But I
chance
think
to do that.
I think I'll reflect back on it far more fondly, as we were saying earlier,
100%.
than necessarily dazzles in it. But yeah, every now and then I just stop and go, like running over the Andes in South America, like snow. It had snowed, so the snow was above like my shoulders on the side of the road, but it was a clear day.
Wow.
And it was cold, but it was a clear, sun was out.
Yeah.
I was running well,
Fuck
up hills, just like this is, like how bloody lucky am I?
Yeah. It's
to
like
be
ice
here.
baths while you're running.
Yeah, well, that's what I felt like I've been running through an ice bath for the last.
Have you seen anything or anything weird happened on the run? Like
You got
like a
attacked
grizzly
by
bear?
dogs or something?
What?
Yeah, I've had that many dog attacks.
Really?
Yeah. One was caught on camera. That's the one.
Where? Like
Romania was. There was a lot
the
of
gypsy dogs.
Yeah, basically, a lot of. Oh, they're not wild. What are they like?
Like Bali dogs.
Yeah. Just everywhere. And just looked like they sounded like they wanted to rip me limb from limb.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Did they bite you and shit? Or
I
you
did. I never got bitten.
Nice.
But I ran with a stick for hundreds of kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Just ready to.
Gandalf.
Yeah, just ready to belt them. As soon as I put the
Sure,
stick
they probably
out,
wanted you to throw it so they could bring it back to you.
Yeah, the worst thing was, I was egging you on.
What
Hey, have you seen anything
and
else?
then-
Yeah.
And then I've been hit by 3 cars.
What?
But not. They were going slowly.
How?
Just like mainly side view mirrors.
Ah, okay.
Like just
So
there's
they
no
saw you.
shoulders.
That
Or a couple of times been really close calls where, because I run into traffic.
Yeah.
And then a car will overtake. So it's a 1-lane highway each way. They'll overtake. They'll be looking at the truck, not at a bloke running on the other side of the road. Not really see that I'm there. And I just feel the wind of it.
Fucking
And
hell.
I'm like,
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
oh, that's that. And there was a lot of that happening in Serbia for some strange reason. And I've been so used to it across everywhere.
Yeah.
But that was the only time I was like, had a little bit of a panic about it. I was like, wow,
But no like bears or no like
nothing.
illegal immigrants running with you
Nah,
across the border.
nah,
or
but
somewhere.
I did see that. I did see down southern US,
Yep.
like New Mexico
Yeah, yeah.
and Texas. There were heaps of border patrol cars.
Yeah.
And
Did they ask you
drones.
where you
Nah,
went?
they left me alone. But I saw them pinch
Yeah, right.
like a Latino, Hispanic
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
that had obviously come across the border.
Oh. So
And
if
it
you
was-
are listening in Mexico, just chuck a high vis on.
Just
put some marathon stuff on and just act like you're
look
doing
like
it.
a runner. Yeah, just look like a runner. But it was really, that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because we're an island, right?
Yeah.
So all the border protection is just not.
Yeah.
We're looking for fruit, not for people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not a thing that we have to deal with. So that. But there's been we saw just not long ago in Bulgaria, we saw a car accident. We actually pulled the bloke out. His car rolled like right in front of us.
What, avoiding you?
No, a van was driving towards me.
Yeah.
So I was running towards it, and then it just stopped inexplicably on a 2-lane highway, so 1 lane each way. It just stopped and put an indicator on, not its hazards, just they're really good at hazards.
Yeah.
They use hazards how they're meant to be used. Just indicated and stopped. And obviously the depth perception would be weird for someone coming up behind at 100 k's an hour.
Yeah.
And this guy might not have been taking much notice. It's Friday afternoon. He's probably
Yeah.
on his way home from work. Saw it late, like spun his car to avoid the van, and then pulled into the other lane.
Oh my God.
Car was coming, pulled back, lost control, rolled it. It rolled and landed on its side, on the side of the road.
Oh my God.
And I happened to be there, as well as Sharif, who was my support crew, my mate. But that's where I was just meeting him.
Yeah.
Probably 50 meters away. Ran over. Like the car was on its side, but there was an embankment.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't move, mate, because if you move, it's going to roll.
Yeah.
Which country was this?
Bulgaria.
Right.
So we got to one side of the car, we're holding it so it didn't roll down the hill and trying to reef him out. And he goes, hold on. I'm like, okay. And he bent down and picked up his smokes, put them in his pocket, and then let us drag him out.
Fucking hell.
And then just got out, had like a gash on his forehead.
Wow.
Glass was like all the mirrors and stuff
Yeah.
were smashed in. And I was just like, what? And that's like...
Are you trained in like like do you have
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, well, I've
Yeah.
got CPR and stuff
Yeah.
because of coaching, and I need to...
That scares me, like coming across a car crash thinking I'm going to see a fucked up dead body
Yeah.
or like have to do something. Were you going... were you
No,
thinking about that?
not really. I just wanted to make sure
He was all
that
right?
he was all right. So
Yeah.
we were just running over to get him out, and we would have done what we needed to do. I've been lucky. I've done some work in Mexico in emergency response training.
Right.
So I don't know what I could have done. It was me and my two hands.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just pulled the guy out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a dangerous
Yeah.
situation, except for the car was teetering.
Yeah.
And then everyone was trying to push the car back on the road. But I'm like, why are we doing that when there's a car broken down on the other side of the road? Yeah, block both lanes.
Yeah.
But that's it was so stuff like that has happened.
Yeah.
You're
All the time, all weird stories.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
there's obviously something to be said for mental strength and mental toughness, and you talked about how it's probably more of a mental thing. Physically, there's obviously some challenges, but we see women are probably just as, or if not more capable in ultras around the world, and two of the best runners in the world are both women, which is it's interesting to me because I guess to a certain point, after a certain amount of running, power, strength, and speed stops becoming a factor, and it's just endurance and ability to continue. Like Courtney Dauwalter is one of the greatest in the world. She won, I think, the Death Valley run by like 11 hours. Beat the closest one was another man, but beat him by 11 hours.
Yeah, that
We have
was
to-
Paulson. That was actually Paulson, I think, that won.
Yeah, okay.
That won Death Valley, won the Badwater.
Yeah,
Court has, top three'd
yeah.
in like an open field.
And
It's because men have to run with more responsibility. You know? We've got the weight of the world on our shoulders.
and there's another woman. I can't Megan Kelly or Nikki, someone like that. And fuck,
I think women are better at tolerating pain, and genetically probably a little bit.
Yeah,
is it fat storage? Like
Yeah,
the way
I
they
don't.
store
Honestly,
fat
I
maybe?
don't know enough
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, the longer it goes,
Mm.
the more. Well, I don't. I mean, I don't have
Yeah.
any research
Yeah.
to suggest it, but it just feels like
Yeah.
it's
But
amazing.
there was some research within one of the docos last night that was showing that the difference between men and women
It's smaller the longer it goes.
100%, and
Yeah.
the longer it goes for whatever reason. I don't
Because
know
we
what that
chafe,
is.
we got big old balls in the way.
It's not even weight as well. Like
Yeah,
it has to be.
Can't be weight.
And that's where it does
they're
say
lean
something about
blokes.
It says
human
something about the
condition, the
mental
mind, yeah.
strength
Yeah.
potentially. Like
and then, but you look at Australian female marathoners, and I mean Jen Grigson's just moved over there from steeplechase. She's a younger, extraordinary athlete. But you look at the other ones like the Trengrove, Waitman. They're all mums.
yeah.
It's because they've gone through childbirth.
like-
They're like, this is nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that is the question.
Pain
It's
is
like, it's
subjective to them,
Pain
yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly right. Like,
Yeah.
what is what is pain threshold? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's like people talk about adrenal fatigue, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure adrenal fatigue is a thing. It's just fatigue.
Yeah.
You're just tired.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they've scientifically proven that gingers can tolerate more pain.
Yeah, that's
legit.
proven,
It's not
yeah.
even a joke.
Is that
yeah.
legit?
Yeah, there's something in the genetics makes up of a ginger person where they can consistently and routinely outperform anybody else with pain tolerance.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then I don't know. It's and I don't know what makes it either. Like what makes a good
Runner.
I think
it's just,
good endurance athlete. Like
it has to be mental.
I think it has to
Because
be
physically, you've gone from 120 kilo to 80 kilo ultra runner, and that's that just shows that any body shape can do it.
Well,
Anybody-
Goggins
it's,
is the same, isn't
Goggins
it?
Yeah,
is the
it's,
same,
so
yeah.
it has to be a mind thing.
Yeah,
So-
I think physically a lot of people can do it, and there's
Yeah.
a lot like millions and billions of people more physically able than me. But it's not just the mental. It's the it's got to be a priority.
Yeah.
You got to have
You
the
s-
aptitude.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because
why.
you say that millions of people could do what you're doing. I think there's only a handful of people on the planet that could do what you're doing, because it doesn't come down to just the physical the physical side of
it's
actually
your why,
achieving.
it's the motivation.
It's the why, the mental strength,
Financial.
exactly. But genuinely, like, I don't think there'd be more than 15, 20 people on the planet who could actually do this and achieve it. Like, I know it's easy. I know you're being humble and saying, no, other people can do it. But it is a fucking big achievement. Run around the world, especially at the pace you're doing. It's
I think you can
mentally.
I mean, I'm really, really proud. Of it. I'm really proud of it. And even if it all came to kaput tomorrow, I'm like, holy shit, I've run.
awesome.
I've run 3 continents.
Don't you reckon it'd be your mates who would give you the most shit?
Mate,
They'd be like, you didn't finish.
I have mates. I have a mates crew for me in Singapore. They live in Singapore. They come up to Malaysia.
Yeah.
And I come out of -11 in Romania, and I flew into 36 and 97% humidity.
Fucking
and I'm
hell.
like, what the?
Yeah.
I just walked into an oven.
Yeah.
And the first day, I ran okay the first day. The second day was brutal. I was chafing in places I didn't even know I had skin. I was walking at one stage as my mates drove past me, and he just winds down the window and goes, "It's called Tim Runs the World, you dickhead."
Not walks.
And my other mate caught it on camera, and they posted it.
No.
So good.
That's what mates do, right?
For sure.
Those are the only people who give you shit. That is it. And everyone else would be like, 458 days or 490 days. But if you get to that 500.
There's probably, you've probably got scope in, like, the way that you've formulated today's interview. It's weird that we call it interviews, but there would be a value in teaching people that mental resilience and the positive self-talk, because that's where it all falls apart, is people going, oh, I can't do this, or I don't think I can do this, or I'm going to stop now. So you have little techniques or something, you've figured it out in your brain how to push through that and ignore that self-talk, that negative self-talk.
Yeah, the negative self-talk's always there, right? It's like I think don't you have something like 50,000 thoughts a day, of which 40,000 are negative? I think that's actually like...
I think the other 10,000 are sex. So.
I think it's tilted more towards sex. So I think what I try and do is go, well, they're always going to come, and let them go. It's like a wave. A wave will come and go. Yeah. And just another one will come and go, and come and go, and come and go. So just let it come and go. But one thing I do know that has helped me immensely is my support network around me, which I like to think that over the time I've cultivated to be hanging around people, they're going to make me be better, but also make me want to be better.
Nice.
And I want people to think that of me as well. But when I go to my mates, hey, this is what I think about doing. I'm going to run around the world. Not one of them, well, that's not true. A couple of them, but only because they were worried about my health. Yeah. The rest of everyone was like, how do I help? How can I help? How can I make it work? Where can I be involved? Yeah. No one's like, that's stupid. You can't. Don't do it. You're an idiot. Yeah. You can't run. You're not a good enough runner. I got none of that from my support network. Was it on the periphery? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I don't listen to that shit. Yeah. I listen to the people that matter the most. Yeah. The ones that I'm going to take advice from. Yeah. I'm not going to listen to comments of people that I'm not going to necessarily take advice from. Yeah. And I'm not driven by naysayers. Yeah. I'm not doing it for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, some people are like, oh, here, fuck you. Yeah. I'm doing this because Johnny said I couldn't do it. I'm doing this because I want to do it, and I want to see if I can do it, and I want to do it. No, it's an intrinsic motivation.
Yes, that's so important.
Not an extrinsic motivation.
That's a whole new fucking.
And I think that's everything, though. I think that's any goal.
Yeah. If you're doing it for external validation, that drive and that why and that purpose isn't there.
Yeah, and that's when there's a lot of like taboo about like augmentation of one's body, like Botox or implants, or. But if you're doing it for you. Bloody do it. You know what I mean? If it's going to make you feel better for you, then you're mad not to do it. As long as it's healthy. Yeah. But once you start doing things to validate yourself to others, I think that's the problem. And I love social media. I think social media is great. We wouldn't have connected without social media. Everyone, like, a lot of people don't connect, but there is that element of comparison and trolls and which
Well, you're doing it to put it on social media
Correct.
to get
Why-
that little
yeah.
adrenaline or that little serotonin boost.
Yeah.
It's not the right reason.
I often
Exactly.
reflect
Yeah.
now on things that I'm about to post on social media on my personal stuff, and sometimes I don't catch myself and I post it and I go, I only posted that so people could see I was doing this.
Yeah,
and
but-
then sometimes I go, am I posting this for the right reasons? Do I need to post this? Do I need to put it on my story? And then if it's not going to help me, sometimes I'll go, no. But sometimes I'll be like, why did I just post that picture of me at the beach? That's just
but that's
try
also
pull some
but that's-
birds.
yeah.
but it's reaching
But
out
if,
for
but if you look
something, yeah.
good and feel good,
Yeah.
and other people tell you that you look good,
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
why not?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's, but that's, I mean, that's how people make a living.
Yeah. It's how you
Right
find a
there.
partner.
Yeah, exactly right. It's not like, and it's like, you know, on the talking about finding partners.
Yeah.
Well, that's why people are like. It's still a bit too. Oh, it's less now. Like on the apps,
Yeah.
Yeah,
finding
yeah.
a date.
Yeah.
But how's that any different to walking up to a stranger in
Yeah.
a pub? Like the only reason you walk up to someone in a pub or in a nightclub or in a bar or at a gym is there's a physical attraction there.
Yeah.
It's the same in a photo, just a different medium. And,
Yeah.
and it's the same with social media. It's just how we consume news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when people go, oh, I go to the train station, everyone's on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, everyone was reading a paper
Yeah, fucking oath.
before it.
Yeah,
I don't know about
yeah.
you, but I haven't gotten on a train and go, I'm going to talk to this bloke today. Hey, mate, how's the heroin?
I'm a bit different. I'll just because I'm just craving craving conversation.
Yeah.
The poor lady that sat next to me on the plane last night. Oh, how are you going? Good, thanks. Where have you come from?
So it sounds like if you are struggling with any sort of emotions, the cure or a temporary, go join a local park run and find like-minded people, and then you'll have a lot of positivity and support. Just go and experience it. Even if you hate running, give it a go, and you might find a different network to people that you're used to.
Well, I think like-minded people chasing a goal. Like it doesn't have to be. It could be. You could be into the arts.
Yeah.
You could be an act. Like you want to do some acting. You could
Yeah.
be playing a piano.
Yeah.
Could be a scientist,
Yeah.
a gamer, whatever it is.
So find your
A
thing and find
podcaster.
people that do it.
Find people
What is
that
it?
do
You
it.
are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time
Yeah.
with. And it's just,
So you're the average of yourself at the moment. Just
Yeah.
running solo.
God, when I'm spending that much time with me mates, the average is
so
dipping.
lonely.
Yeah.
So lonely.
We've been sitting down for a little while, so let's plug you up. What do you want to give a shout out to? Where can people follow you? How can they donate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the best way to follow me is on Instagram and Facebook, but Instagram at Timmy R. Franklin.
Yep. TIMMYRFRANKLIN.
That's the one.
Cool.
And then I got a website, which is timrunstheworld.com.
Yep.
And on there you can find, there's a GoFundMe page. It's on Support Tim.
Yep.
The link is on my bio in Instagram as
Cool.
well. And yeah, any little bit of money raised really helps me out, fund the run,
Yep.
but also raises money
Yeah.
for the charity partners as well. And then if you can't afford money, I completely get that. But go on and have a look at the charity partners and
Yep.
see maybe there's another way
Yeah.
you can help out.
Or share your story on their story.
Or
your stuff.
share me like you've never shared anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Make me blow up.
Yeah, nice.
I want to go viral for good reasons.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So maybe we can put a link in our
Yep, we'll
thing
put a link
after
in the show
episode
notes.
comes out for a couple of weeks.
Yep, there'll be a link in the show notes, and we'll put it in our bio. We'll put it in all of that for until the end of your run. Actually, I'll put it in the bio for that.
Cool.
Awesome.
That'll be good.
That'd be
So-
awesome. That'd be
Sick.
great.
All right, and I'll just keep plugging fringe shows. Just go to at Daniel Delby. There's a link there. I've sold 8 tickets to date night comedy tonight, so get on board.
Cool.
Last night was awesome. But
I'm not going to plug anything. Actually, I'm going to keep plugging this
Plug the
sponsor
pod, yep.
right there. If you're looking and watching at home,
the
if
microphone.
the microphone there, I want to monetize that.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
we
Millions of
get-
views.
We get some good real estate and millions of views for that. So
Yeah, that's not even being like facetious. We
no,
actually do.
Literally do.
Yeah.
really. Your logo right there. Repetition is recognition, and it'll work for you. So, and
Nice.
repetition seems to be recognition for you as well,
Yeah.
mate. So,
Repeating 60 Ks a day.
100%.
All right, guys. So
awesome episode.
Thanks for
Thanks.
listening. We're about to do the intro, so peace out.
Hooroo.